Hello and welcome to today's video. If you are new here, please subscribe if you enjoy this video. Our videos are not a diagnosis. We are simply speaking our opinions, not facts. Today we are going to analyze possible dangerous behavior from a man who seems to give a lot of people the sense that something is just not right. What we will discuss here is alleged predatory behavior. This man is known as SnapShotEye, BeautyBeyondTheEye, or his actual name, Paul Breach. Many rumors and accusations surround this TikToker, an online persona that is not known for any positive reasons. He is known for bad dancing, age regression, being defensive, allegedly having a baby with a child, and being creepy with young females online. Sometimes these females are allegedly children. We will be reviewing TikTok videos and video clips and forming an opinion, not a diagnosis. When there are such people like this with access to the internet, it is important to spread the word and protect as many people as possible. Before we dive into today's video, if topics such as grooming and predatory behavior is a trigger for you, then I would suggest to skip this video, and I will see you in the next one. Let's first discuss who Paul is. We will be focusing on possible narcissism, also known as NPD, and sometimes abbreviated here as a narc.
SnapShotEye, aka Paul Breach, is a 41 or 45-year-old TikTok content creator who came to the spotlight after releasing a song about football player Jack Grealish during the 2022 Euros, which made him a national meme. His cringy dances and monologues have left people perplexed at who this individual really is. And I'm not going to lie, before making this video I had no idea who Paul Breach was, and upon further investigation I've been left with more questions than answers. In order to get a full perspective of Paul and his universe, we need to understand who these characters are. Apart from his Jack Grealish song and his cringy aura, Paul is known for getting a 16-year-old pregnant when he was in his late 20s, having a face that resembles a slice of Tesco's finest breaded ham, getting lost in a field and having to be tracked down by a police helicopter, and allegedly liking and talking to underage girls on Instagram. He has over 300,000 followers on TikTok. Sophie is Paul's most recent ex, who he met through TikTok and tried to move in with her after 3 weeks of dating. All in all, the relationship lasted about 2 months, and ended with Paul storming off TikTok and Sophie taking his hotel chocolate Velveteer hostage. Dating in this instant actually means one trip to Costa, one trip to IKEA to film a few TikToks, and countless days spent lounging around Sophie's front room in his PJs and her slippers. Whilst at Sophie's, he began to clean out her cupboards, taking himself to quote, little Tesco's to buy some cleaning products. He also throws away letters on his life, which Sophie sees. He also stated publicly that they slept in the same bed together, which Sophie denies. The relationship ends and Sophie drives to his dad's to drop his stuff off. She said she sees nothing wrong with the alleged age gap, but agrees the behaviour is odd. Frankie is Paul's ex-girlfriend of 3 weeks, the one before Sophie. They met through TikTok and she has since disappeared entirely from social media after becoming the victim of a fake Instagram profile created by Paul. On the 9th of January 2022, a user called CableBoss1 found the Instagram profile called The Old Blondie with a picture of Frankie and her child. The only person following the account was Paul. He was also the only person to have ever liked her only photo and commented on it. Sophie, his ex, proceeded to go on live and tell people about this account. Sophie goes off live for a bit and comes back and informs the viewers that Paul said that Frankie made the account herself, as she was getting hate. The fake Instagram of his ex was deleted shortly after Paul was questioned. An online investigator found photos on Instagram that Paul had liked. Some of these photos were young girls, 16 and 17, in their prom dresses and bikinis. It was shown to Sophie after they had split up, and she privately called him out on it. Paul said that he had only liked these photos as the young girl was a cancer survivor. Upon investigation, it was proved that the girl had no idea who he was, making the whole scenario even weirder. After the allegations against him, Paul decided that he needed a rebrand, and he changed his Instagram handle. He is now known as the Beauty Beyond the Eye. Leanne is now a regular on Paul's Instagram lives. She's in her early 20s and allegedly has a young child like his last girlfriend. She has also allegedly been asked numerous inappropriate questions from Paul. Paul was also recorded asking Leanne for pictures of her ex-boyfriend.
Can you send me, because you're good at this, can you send me some of Leanne's boys?
What, man?
Yeah. Give screenshots of some of them for me. Send me.
On the 17th of July 2022, a TikTok user by the name of My Name's Boo 1.0 uploaded a TikTok video to speak about Paul and the similarities between her ex-partner and Paul. Boo was apparently groomed by their ex-partner at 16, while he was 27, the same age as Paul and the mother of his child when she fell pregnant. Paul didn't like this and has made numerous comments against Boo, and has responded with this after watching their video.
100 more to get to 200,000 followers. Unless your name is Boo, and then you probably need some tissues because you've got a bit of anger and you get a bit upset quite a lot. So you need a few tissues, Boo. My little boo, my little boo boo boo, my little boo boo boo. Anyway, thank you for the response.
On the 16th of August 2022, Boo uploaded proof to TikTok of her messages she'd received from a 15-year-old girl to say that Paul had messaged her earlier in March of this year.
I said I was taking a break last night, and I was going to, and then I got this message and it knocked me fucking sick. Essentially, a minor has contacted me to let me know that Paul was messaging them because they were sick, and this is the second time we have seen him do something similar. Allegedly, he was also messaging a girl who had cancer and liking their photos. I then went and did a bit of due diligence before responding to the messages to make sure I wasn't being had, and the post is legit. You can tell she's a child in the post because she mentions school. Obviously this kid's got a good head on her shoulders because she blocked him straight away and knew not to respond. She also then went and checked her archive on her story and had posted photos of herself in her school uniform that day that Paul had viewed, so he knew she was a child.
There are many more parts made by Fat Memer, so if you enjoyed that brief breakdown, then I highly suggest you finish watching the series on TikTok to learn more about Paul. Let's discuss some of the accusations mentioned in these clips. First, let's talk about the allegation that he had a relationship with a 16-year-old when he was in his late 20s, resulting in him getting her pregnant and having a child with her. First of all, for a person in their late 20s, 30s, 40s, and so on, to have an attraction to a 16-year-old is truly sick. Words fail me to express how truly grotesque this is. And if you ever hear someone cry, but they are legal, then have their hard drive checked by the authorities and run for your life. When a much older man is attracted to a much younger woman, or even worse, if they are a child, then a lot of it boils down to the fact that these dangerous men like a younger person to form a dynamic of control and manipulation. When the partner is much younger, or has not yet finished growing mentally or physically, then they are easier to manipulate and mold. A man such as this is weak-minded, unable to go head-to-head with someone of his own age. As people their own age have matured, and learned to spot a person with such deep problems and will call out their toxic behavior, and recognize the toxic person for what they are, making their equal age a more difficult person to manipulate. Often situations like this start with the predator love bombing their intended, showering them with compliments, such as they have never met anyone like them. They are so unique, smart, special, talented, and they can help them grow these qualities. Soon the compliments begin to shrink away or disappear entirely. They may begin to express that they believe their partner's family is not good for them, or their friends are bad influences, or a poor match. After a while, this victim soon finds that they only have their partner in their life, and they have been completely shut out from the world they once knew. Sometimes the control runs so deep that they have access to their partner's passwords and text messages, monitoring their every move and causing an argument when they see something they do not like. Often they do not share their passwords in return, as they usually have something to hide. After a while they may begin to belittle their partner, name-call and explain that they do not understand them, they are hard work. Then they may say sorry for their awful actions, only to soon again repeat the same behavior, causing further possible mental health breakdown in their partner, which may result in them being even more isolated. This toxic situation may increase in the abusive behavior, and the relationship is unreasonable, abusive, controlling in many aspects, and may even sometimes lead to physical abuse. The main outtake is that age gaps that are either frowned upon, or just plain wrong, are emotionally and intellectually unbalanced, which is exploitative and manipulative. Not all age gaps are bad, or will result in toxic behavior, but in order for that to be a solid statement, both people need to be well into their adulthood. So what does this say about Paul? To me it says that he is a dangerous man, and shouldn't have access to TikTok, and other such platforms where there are many teenagers and vulnerable women. Let's move on to how he allegedly tried to move in with his girlfriend after only 3 weeks of dating. Another sign of a toxic relationship. When a relationship moves too fast, or makes you question if something is weird due to the fast momentum, then listen to that gut feeling. Toxic relationships often start and hit go at the speed of light. Not all relationships that move fast are doomed, but it is a warning sign to look out for. So why are some people like this? The cerebral cortex has been found to be less developed in narcissists. The cerebral cortex forms the external nerve cell layer of the brain. Findings revealed that those subjects suffering from narcissistic personality disorder exhibited structural abnormalities in precisely that region of the brain, which is involved in the processing and generation of compassion. It is also involved with memory, emotions, and behavior. Therefore, the narcissist seems to move on or move forward so fast because their emotions are not as deep as others. They don't form memories and bonds in the same way that the average person does. A narcissist will often find a partner as a means to receive narcissistic supply. That may come in forms such as compliments, support, entertainment, company, receiving love and affection, getting admiration, and also what you can do for them in regards to making them a meal, cleaning their mess, or sometimes even to the point of putting a roof over their head. One of the reasons that they may want you to cater to their needs and possibly allow them into your home, or have you to move into theirs, is because a narc lacks responsibility. Not all narcs, as many may have their own home, job, car, and so on. But plenty of narcs will worm their way into your lives, start to take over your home, and soon expect you to allow them to move in, or get a place together, or have you move into their home. This is because they do not have the responsibility to care for themselves and expect you to fill that role. Paul is in his 40s and living with his father, then quickly tries to push himself into the home of a partner. Not all middle-aged people that are living with their family are toxic. Life just happens that way sometimes, for many reasons. But it is a major sign to look out for and question, especially if they try to move into your home at the speed of light. Next, let's discuss Paul's alleged behavior while at his girlfriend's house. It is said that he was lounging around her home in his pajamas and her slippers. For them only to be dating 3 weeks and him to be just laying around in her home, then it is a warning sign to how much effort he will put into the relationship and household. It is deeply unattractive to get a new partner of 3 seconds and see that they are a layabout through self-choice. For Paul to drop that part of his narc act so quickly in a relationship, then he isn't offering much for a partner to find an attraction to. If she wanted someone to lay about her house, not work, and do nothing, then she could get a mannequin and prop it up on the couch. At least that way she won't have to clean up their mess or pay for their existence. A narcissist can often be an extremely lazy person, and that comes back to having a lack of responsibility. Paul is jobless and claims that social media is his job. But clearly it is not a life choice that pays enough, as he is still living in his father's home. So considering his current endeavor is not paying up, perhaps he should consider getting a real job to help make up for the money he is not making. Not everyone can afford to move out in the current financial circumstances of the world, so I am obviously not passing judgment on those that work hard and still struggle, or have health issues and would love to work, but are unable. But for this man to not work through self-choice and lay around his new girlfriend's house in her slippers, taking over her home, and show his lack of responsibility, then it shows all too quickly what his true nature is like. It is said that Paul allegedly began clearing out her home and throwing away her items. It was also suggested that he threw out her letters, which I assume was her mail. This is a strong sign of controlling behavior. It is illegal to tamper, delay, or throw away someone's mail. The audacity of him to begin to control her mail, or home in any regard, especially after only a matter of a few weeks, is very scary behavior. If he is capable of doing such acts so quickly, then I can only but imagine what he would be like 3 years into a relationship. Next, let's question why Paul was allegedly liking bikini photos of a teenager who was a stranger to him. He claimed to like these photos as she was a cancer survivor. I'm sure there are many age-appropriate survivors that he could like photos of. And I am also sure that this teenager may have had less skin-revealing photos for him to like. And if not, why like or look at them at all? When a middle-aged man likes a bikini photo of a child who is a stranger to him, then it only sets off sinister vibes. Sometimes a predator will choose a vulnerable victim. It can make them an easier target. Considering this was a very young girl who had health issues in the past, then he may see that as a means to manipulate her, love bomb her, and play the hero who listens and supports her difficult times. This won't always be the case, but I can't help but wonder if he saw this as a small opening to vulnerability, and was the deciding factor in liking her photos. Narcissists belittle others because they have their own insecurities, fears and flaws, and are afraid of having them exposed to others. In making hurtful comments to others, mocking them, or belittling them, they reinforce their own feelings of importance and hide the low self-esteem and self-worth, and fear of being found out and showing what may be lurking within. Let's take a look at an example of Paul doing just that. A woman by the name of Boo called out Paul for being a groomer because he had a relationship with a 16-year-old girl and had a baby with her. Paul, the sensitive narc that he is, went pure classic reaction and began mocking Boo because she had triggered one of the biggest fears a narc has, and that is being found out for who they really are.
More to get to 200,000 followers. Unless your name's Boo, and then you probably need some tissues because you got a bit of anger and you get a bit upset quite a lot. So you need a few tissues, Boo. My little Boo. My little boo-boo-boo. My little boo-boo-boo. Emmy, thank you for the wishing button. Boo's got a few issues with strangers she's met on the internet. Dina, thank you for the... What is that? But thank you for the dancing cactus. Francesca, thank you for the 10 things. Ginger, hi, thanks for those. So, yeah. Is there a gift called tissues? If there's a gift, tissues, please send it to Boo. Or Boo-Boo, or whatever Boo-Boo's name is. Because Boo-Boo gets a bit boo-boo. Ginger, thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Boo. Just Boo. Not your little boo-boo or boo-boo-roo or whatever you were calling me. It's an unusual name. I'm very used to people taking the piss out of it, so it really doesn't bother me. But I wanted to do some further analysis. Now I actually have the video of Paul talking about me. I find it quite ironic that he calls me angry, because again, I speak in this relatively monotone voice when I'm talking about anything traumatic, because it's just, you know, how I speak about these things now. And the irony is you can see the anger there with the silly voices and the sort of a passive-aggressive taking the mick out of my name and saying that I need tissues, implying that I'm a hysterical woman. We're going back into that misogynist sort of era that he's been going through currently. And you'll notice that I'm completely calm while I'm talking about this, and I'm not angry or upset or any of the above. I just wanted to analyse it. And thank you so much to everyone who sent lovely messages on Instagram, and the people from Tattle who were really nice, and everyone in my comments who have been nothing but lovely. You guys are excellent, and I will keep doing my advocacy. And it doesn't bother me because I put myself out here, so people may have opinions on me, and that's absolutely fine. Do I expect for things like my name to have the mick taken out of? No, but does it bother me? Also no. If you've got an unusual name, you get used to it real quick. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, I thought of one more thing. The whole bit about me having anger about people I've never met. Well, I never met Jimmy Savile and R. Kelly, but I know they're bad people. You don't have to know someone personally to understand that what they're doing is wrong.
During Paul's time on TikTok and Instagram, there have been several allegations that he has contacted minors. I find it to be so disheartening that he still has his accounts and is allowed on platforms while being such a danger to the users on it. Sadly, this is something everyone must look out for. If you or someone in your life encounters any form of creep online, some things you can do is object, tell, report, block, expose, and file a legal complaint. Sadly, creepy behavior online is prevalent, but with so many minors on the internet, then we must do all that we can to speak up, especially when platforms allow these types of people to stay on their websites. One thing that is alarming with Paul is his age regression. He seems to still act and dress like a teenager. Following TikTok trends at any age is not a negative choice. It is all about the context of the situation. Paul follows trends on TikTok and awkwardly dances along and creates cringe within a lot of viewers in what seems to be an attempt to pull in younger viewers. Paul chooses to wear clothes that look strange on a man of his age. Of course, there are no rules to who can wear what, but when it comes to Paul, it seems to be a sinister tactic. These acts seem to be attempts to stay relevant within a young crowd. Some of these acts may be conscious decisions to manipulate. Other signs such as lack of responsibility, refusing to work, unable to pay and care for himself, are traits that stem back to age regression. In Paul's case, he seems to be an eternal teenager and has not grown past that stage. His attempts to stay relevant within the young crowds is a sign that causes alarm, and also a sign that there is some form of mental health issue there. Narcissists, along with some other disorders, often show signs of age regression. Those with signs of age regression have a general impression they can't get it together, and you may notice things like a pattern of unreliability and flaking out, emotional outbursts when facing stressful situations, a tendency to make excuses and blame others when things go wrong, little or no interest in personal growth, expectations of being taken care of, fear of negative evaluation, a pattern of substance use, often with the goal of escaping difficult feelings or responsibilities, a desire to keep their options open instead of making concrete plans. People with narcissism may also fail to accept accountability, blame others for failures, prioritize personal desires over others' needs, and fear criticism or conflict. Narcissists are often viewed as an eternal child. They carry the same level of maturity, responsibility, and reactions as a child. For example, when they throw a tantrum when things don't go their way. Some examples of a narc being childlike are blaming others, making excuses, pretending, seeking credit, playing the victim, denying, attacking, distracting, minimizing, withdrawing, stonewalling, and acting out. Not all age regression is a negative trait, and does not mean that the person is automatically toxic. But when it is mixed with narcissistic personality disorder, it can be a very concerning and often draining part of who they are. When a narcissist shows signs of age regression, then know this comes from their inability to control their emotions, and from their underdeveloped cerebral cortex in their brain.
I've just seen something rather bizarre.
I send to sleep as cute as possible like this. So damn cute.
This video is going to be rather different from the ones I've previously made about Paul. And once you're done watching this, you'll be thinking, that actually makes sense. So rather than accuse him of this, or challenge him about that, this is going to be a little bit more medical. So the clip I've just shown you is a major sign, but one of many signs, of something called age regression. Age regression is exactly as it sounds. It's when an individual, in their mind, goes back a few years. Could be 10, could be 20, depends on the person and depends on the circumstance. But in essence, in their head, they are younger than they are. Age regression is not a condition, it's a symptom, and it's potentially a symptom of things like schizophrenia, PTSD, or dissociative identity disorder, which was previously called multiple personality disorder. For someone that's tongue-tied, that was a mouthful to pronounce. That's why you see so many cut edits in my videos, by the way, because I'm tongue-tied and dyspraxic, and that's a hell of a combination. Sigmund Freud described age regression as an unconscious defense mechanism that can protect oneself from trauma, stress, or anger. Starting to make sense now, isn't it? People can exhibit age regression spontaneously as a response to painful memories or some triggers. That again makes sense with some of the behaviour that we have seen. People who have suffered past trauma are more likely to regress, and as Paul has openly said, he has been abused in the past, and regression can be a form of protection against fear and insecurity. This also, in my opinion, makes sense, tallied up with some of the behaviours that we've seen. However, I believe that this can take a much more sinister turn when it's coupled up with the narcissistic and predatory personality that I believe Paul has. In his mind, he may be younger than he is, but in my opinion, he's still perfectly capable of manipulating, controlling and abusing anyone he chooses, which could obviously have a massive negative impact on any victim's life. I think Paul needs help and therapy to deal with his past abuse, because I think his behaviours that are partly as a result of that and partly due to his other personality traits will lead to vulnerable girls being groomed, victimised, abused and having their lives destroyed.
The next topic I want to mention is Paul's strange body language. Exaggerated gestures can imply that they are stretching the truth. It can mean that the person is not only exaggerating their body language, but also exaggerating their story and being deceitful. It can also stem from a desire that they have someone's full attention, created from a deep need of recognition and attentiveness. Sometimes over-exaggerated gestures can mean attempted deceit, or flat-out lying. Not all overly dramatic body gestures can mean lying or anything negative, but in this next clip, I got the sense of a negative vibe. I felt that I was watching a show, something that was underlined with deception. I felt as though I was watching a bad actor, one on the first day on the job. More to the point, in all of the clips that I have reviewed of Paul, I never get the sense that I am seeing his pure true self. There is always a mask, concealing his true nature. If you ever get a hint of this feeling that sets off a negative vibe within yourself, usually it will mean that they are indeed putting on an act. And most times that can mean you are sensing their hidden toxicity, and your gut feeling is searching them out. Sometimes people's masks simply mean that they are shy, or going through something, and trying to seem okay on the outside. All masks come with different purposes, and not all masks are evil. But if your instinct senses unfavorable vibes, then listen to it. I'm just going to use one clip to show an example, but there are many clips that have a similar energy. Watch Paul's hands as he talks. The fake vibes are potent.
Trigger warning, you might not like or you might disagree with what I say in this latest video. I love care. I've been a carer for a very long time. Until now, where I do social media, but when I eventually go back to being a carer, it's my passion, it's what I enjoy thoroughly doing. Though I believe that to be a fantastic carer, you have to show empathy. You have to show respect, you have to show dignity, right choice and all the stuff like that.
You might not like, you might disagree with what I say in this latest video. I love care. I've been a carer for a very long time. Until now, I do social media, but when I eventually go back to being a carer, it's my passion, it's what I enjoy thoroughly doing. Though I believe that to be a fantastic carer, you have to show empathy. You have to show respect, you have to show dignity, rights, choice, and all the stuff like that.
The full clip we just saw is him talking about inappropriate behavior during his time as a carer for the elderly. He later retracted this statement and said that his lips never met their skin. But regardless, both situations are not correct acts. Here is what I found online regarding appropriate and inappropriate personal contact as a carer in a care home in Paul's location. Care workers are taught to recognize that there are some forms of personal contact that are inappropriate, because they are considered to be abusive, and could result in disciplinary or even criminal actions being taken against them. These are clearly stated in the relevant safeguarding from abuse or harm policy. Inappropriate personal contact will usually refer to the touching of their private areas, but it could also include kissing, yes, kissing, hugging, sidling, and sexually suggestive movements that could be interpreted as inappropriate or abusive. This could occur in a variety of situations, including when being moved and transferred. Care workers are warned against any such behavior that presents any risks of harm to their residents and indeed to their own safety and personal integrity. So, as we know, kissing is not the correct way to act as a carer, and would have been told to Paul during his training. Like many narcs, they disregard the rules as they believe themselves to be special and above others. It is important to take into account that the people you care for are vulnerable, and at an age where infection can be deadly, so something such as kissing, or even kissing the air beside their face, is not only inappropriate as the working professional, but could potentially result in their health declining or their life ending. And at present day, should Paul ever consider returning to this job, then he needs to understand that unnecessary close contact to the vulnerable should be left to be shared with their loved ones should they so choose to, as the pandemic is still highly dangerous to the high risk. Another important thought to consider is that Alzheimer's is a common illness in care homes. Crossing the line of appropriate touching and inappropriate touching may confuse the resident. It is important to offer a care of not only physical needs, but emotional needs as well. But this always must be done with a sense of professionalism. Paul's defensive empathy being the reason why he crosses boundaries shows that he does not understand empathy at all. If he had a pure sense of empathy, then he would show compassion in a professional manner and not cross boundaries. Let's watch the full clip of Paul poorly trying to justify his inappropriate behavior.
Trigger warning, you might not like or you might disagree with what I say in this latest video. I love care. I've been a carer for a very long time. Until now, where I do social media, but when I eventually go back to being a carer, it's my passion, it's what I enjoy thoroughly doing. Though I believe that to be a fantastic carer, you have to show empathy. You have to show respect, you have to show dignity, right choice and all the stuff like that. But you also have to treat that person like a family member. Treat them like a human being. Not like somebody who's been dumped in a care home or been placed in a care home or has to be in a care home because there's nowhere else for that person to go. So I will hold a resident's hand. I will hug a resident. And I will side kiss a resident if they need that love and support. I will do that. I will always do that. I have always done that. For those that say it's unprofessional, it's not. Enjoy. Enjoy how you do things. And I will enjoy the people who I know who care for people in a loving, tender way. The carers that looked after my mum showed her love and affection like she was a member of their family and would hug her and would give her a kiss. She was vulnerable. She was highly vulnerable. But that was fine because it made us feel like she was looked after properly and wanted in this world in which we live. So I believe that to be a fantastic carer, not only do you have to be able to do the job well, work with others, work on your own, all that stuff, you have to be personable. You have to be able to treat that person like they are your mum, your dad, your sister, your grandparents, whoever it is, to a high standard. So for all those that continuously come at me for that, I will always side kiss on the forehead of somebody who needs that love and attention at that moment, in a professional way, with your policies and procedures that you are for your companies. I have worked with companies who say, no, you can't even hold their hands. And other companies who go, yes, go to their funerals, go out with them, sit next to them, muck about, stand up and dance with them, hold their hands. I will continue to have the ethos, care for people how you want to be cared for. So, there we go. I did give a trigger warning. Some of you will disagree with it. Some of you will agree with it. That's the world in which we work. I love care. I love being a carer. And I love making people feel wanted in this world in which we live. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And hi.
When Paul says you have to treat them like a family member, the alarm bells go off in my head. It seems to me that he uses this statement to abuse the situation. If the correct policies are followed, then Paul could have potentially found himself losing his job or receiving legal charges. Albeit if what he said is true, far worse has happened in care homes. So his argument may convince some people, but that is why not all people are able to provide the correct care in such a job. Paul stated more than once that he knew some people were going to disagree with his opinion, and that is because he is breaking their code of conduct. He knows that what he was doing was wrong. But like all narcs, they deflect and ramble on an attempt to convince you to agree with them. The main concern here is that Paul speaks in a manner that shows he has not learned his lesson. He would repeat the same behavior if given the chance. It is perfectly fine to show affection to the resident, but it has to be done in a professional manner. They do need empathy, of course, just like all humans. But for him to use that as an argument is a manipulative tactic. Such a statement of them needing empathy cannot be twisted in such a manner. That one person who deems himself to be above the others that follow the rules, and able to make their own rules because they think themselves to be different from the rest, and then create the beginning of a landslide. One thing a narcissist is sure to do is play the victim. One minute they might say that they know that they are wrong and will learn from their mistake, but then in the next minute they will repeat the same behavior. Narcissists may play the victim if they believe they gain something from making you feel guilty. Their tendency to use manipulation tactics is one of the formal symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder. Some of the traits to look out for when a narcissist is playing the victim are sense of entitlement, denial and low insight, grandiosity, projection, need for control, narcissistic rage, and low empathy.
Right, this has got just too fecking much, man. Like, just because I have social media, I'm not sure that the rule is that every single aspect of my life can be minutely scrutinised every single moment of every single day. And it's acceptable to rip the living shit out of me for my appearance, manners, every moment of every day. And I wouldn't be able to say anything back to you for being called a narcissist or any other word that you think that is acceptable to be used against me all the time. You ridicule me for absolutely everything. You ridicule people that I know, people that I talk to, family members. You ridicule them, you go deep on them, and the community of TikTok and social media thinks that's a beautiful thing to do. You can do that. But I don't understand how that is deemed fine and normal in society. Lots of you are adults, and you rip into every aspect of everything. You take pictures of past relationships and post them all over your social media sites. You make new websites about me continuously and about people that I know. Like it's a normal thing to do because I have social media and I have an account. So you can just do that always. When is that normal and acceptable? I don't think it is. Obviously you guys do, and your big accounts, you support that action like it's a normal thing to do. Like the thing where you send me messages on Instagram a long time ago. And then ask, oh Paul, can you give me support? Oh, I'd love you just to send me a message. So I send a message or whatever I can do. And then you delete them and unsend them on Instagram and call me creepy or whatever. Like normal behaviour from you. Like that's a normal thing to do. I don't understand it. I will never understand it. So I will do my photography live tonight at 11 o'clock because TikTok and the lady from there asked me to do it. So I will do that. And then I need to take a break from just being ripped apart every single second for your amusement. And the people that I love and care about and support being ripped apart for your amusement. Because social media is a nice fun place for you to just attack. I will never understand it. And you big accounts, you need to step up and wake up and sort this thing out because it's not right. And yeah, Paul's playing, whatever. Just take a look at your own actions, man. It's ridiculous.
Paul defending himself for allegedly talking to teenagers seems to be a repeated conversation that he has. If you ever hear someone defending themselves for talking to children over and over again, then their guilt is obvious. For a man in his 40s to repeat different defenses for speaking with different teenagers, time and time again, then the level of dangerous intent is clear to see. Let's take a look at some times that Paul has allegedly defended himself for talking to kids.
Context. Someone just called him out for messaging their 14-year-old daughter.
You can keep paying to be a dick. If you want to subscribe to me to be a dick, you can. You put a comment in, you get muted and blocked. You've paid. I'm not going to complain. Abigail, thank you for the TikTok. I hope you're okay. Abigail Ross. Put stuff in your profiles. Put stuff in your profiles. If you're going to communicate, if you're going to send me gifts, put them in your profiles. I will promise to click on them now.
This is someone's father.
Georgina, hi, thanks. You're a product designer from sunny Manchester. Product designer from sunny Manchester.
Where is he seeing these
Product
chats?
designer from sunny.
No one
lying
is
to
sending
me, sunny
anything.
Manchester. L, hi, thank you for the TikTok. Ruby, hi, thank you for the TikTok. Rhiannon, thank you for the TikTok. None of you put stuff in your profiles.
Okay.
Yeah, because one of my best friends is a lady who will often, to put me in my corner, will call me the C word quite readily and handily and be perfectly fine with it.
Okay.
So this thing though, I would love to know how I treat women badly. I would love to know which these ladies.
One of my friends. I've got a friend called Joanne. Okay, and she's a therapist. Joanne Cofton, her name is, and she studies men's behaviour.
Right.
And I've showed her videos of you, and she's gone, he's narcissistic. The way he acts with women can be a bit strange on messages, and I don't know how many messages are real. I'm not going to go into that because I don't know, so I'm going to say. But that brings me on to the point of when you met up with one of these to go geocaching, was it? Geocaching?
Geocaching.
And they threw a Billy Bear ham at your face?
As long as you give me the 2 seconds to speak about that.
Yeah.
So, question. All right, she was 19. Paul, why are you going geocaching with a 19? Well, because it's geocaching. It's a walk in the countryside, finding something, move on to the next thing. It's not uber exciting. But if the person pops into Instagram live chats for months, integrating herself with people who are on a live chat, talking about families and doing that, in the live chat saying, oh, let's meet up for a geocache, I've sent you a message, and then I read the message and go, okay, let's go and do this geocaching, and then meet me, throw stuff in my face, say you're doing this, say you're doing that.
When predators groom their victims, there's a bit of a step-by-step guide that they go down. There's a very, very regular pattern that we're all seeing happening right in front of us right now, and there are still some people that choose to not believe it. So firstly, a victim gets identified. Now on social media, that's very, very easy to do because you can look into all different aspects and avenues of someone's life just by looking at a couple of social media profiles. The next step is making contact and gaining access, which would be a message, a hi, how are you doing, or you pick up on something on, if you are doing it through social media, you pick up on something on their profile and you send, a nice message of support to instigate a conversation. You've then got access. You then from that gain trust. You pick up on someone vulnerable, they've got stuff going on, maybe parents are getting divorced, maybe they're recovering from an illness, maybe they've got other things going on, which again is probably posted about on social media, and the predator is the shoulder to cry on, and the one to confide in, positive reinforcement, saying things like you're amazing, you're beautiful. Where have we heard that? Again, this is all happening right in front of us, with screenshots and proof of messages that have been sent as well. Then you play a part in the victim's life. So that could be meeting up with them, which again, we've seen with the, why didn't you come and meet me in Cambridge, gorgeous? Or the let's go geocaching. Or arranging to meet up in a hotel. You've gained access, the predator is then playing a part in the victim's life. That then leads to isolating the victim. Again, we could use the hotel example of that. That's a very direct and immediate way of isolating someone. You are in a hotel room with the predator. But a lot of the time that will be things like, oh, it's only me you need, I'll do everything for you, we'll go here, we'll do this, I'll always support you, don't worry about the negative people. We've seen messages, only surround yourself with positive people, I think were the words, or something along those lines. That's not an exact quote, but only surround yourself with people who are positive, people who care. Again, we've seen messages of that nature. That is steps towards isolating the victim. And then the control starts and the abuse starts. And a lot of the time, once a victim's been this brainwashed and manipulated, they actually don't think they're being abused. They think the predator loves them. They think that this is all natural, this is all right. And the cycle of abuse goes on, and people just don't report it because either they don't think anything wrong is happening, or they're too scared and too controlled to actually speak out. That's what's happening right here, and we need to deal with it.
Oi, why do you sort 16-year-old girls? It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Why do you talk to 16-year-old girls?
Who's 16?
Huh?
Who's 16? Why are you filming this? Should we go talk to the police? Should we ring the police? No, let's, should we do this? Have a chat with the police? Why are you trying to video?
Oh, just go away.
Enjoy yourself, mate. What, Ed? What, Ed? Talk to me, Ed.
When someone answers a question with a question, it can be a sign that they are lying. When asked why does he talk to 16-year-old girls, he says his first question, by asking what. This is a tactic that liars use to bide some time to think of how to respond. He then asks who is 16, in an accusatory manner, as though it is the child's fault, and not his own. Chances are, if he had, or was speaking to a 16-year-old, then their name would instantly flash through his mind. Paul instantly gets defensive, and says shall we go talk to the police as a defense mechanism. Out of these two individuals in this moment, he is the last one who would want to go and talk to the police. He is using this only as an empty threat in an attempt to avoid the situation and try to get the accuser to back off. There was a separate situation when male teenagers were making Paul uncomfortable outside a store, and he asks the workers there if they were going to do anything about it.
Beyond the eye.
That's a video.
Yeah. Say,
Enjoy yourselves. You ready?
You're. Oh. Yo. What?
Shall I video you? No, I'm not both. Okay. Be honest. Go. I don't like your face.
What are you saying?
There you go.
Can you post me on TikTok?
No.
What? I swear. No.
What are you saying? I'm loving it. Loving it, bless you. You're having fun, aren't you? Have fun. Right. Allowing this on your... Having fun?
Yeah, bro.
It's extreme behaviour, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie.
You sit on your live and pretend to talk to people that aren't there, bro.
It's very strange behaviour. It's really strange behaviour.
I swear. Alright, in a bit.
I am not defending any form of harassment, even when the person being harassed is a questionable character, but for Paul to instantly ask shop workers for help and then on a separate occasion he hides behind the police. I understand it can be scary when strangers approach anyone in a negative tone. I am not expecting him to go full Hulk, but it is a classic tactic from a spineless character. Paul comes across as a rather scared individual. For another example, someone was throwing accusations at him, and he responded that they were being brave for calling him out. Meanwhile, his voice was shaking in fear.
But I don't know the person. I don't know her. Wow, we have some people who are brave.
If a person is going to create bad situations for themselves, then they best be brave enough to handle the consequences, because there will always be people willing to call out your bad behavior. Paul is used to hiding behind the screen of his phone and losing his temper with people that comment on his behavior, but when it comes to the real world, he comes across as a coward, just like a lot of narcissists can be. When the person who asked him why he was speaking to 16-year-olds, Paul deflected and manipulated the situation like a coward. He seemed guilty and scared. Forgive me if I am wrong, but the person who asked him the question sounded rather young, perhaps a teenager. When a man in his 40s is intimidated by a potential male teenager, simply because he asked a question that put a spotlight on his alleged predatory behavior. But meanwhile that same coward will allegedly slide into the DMs of a female teenager and out himself as a creep, then you know exactly how weak-minded he is. Young males unnerve him, yet young alleged females are his prey. He cannot defend himself and will run from conflict, partly because I believe him to be a coward, and also because I believe him to be guilty. An innocent person is very unlikely to deflect and run from a topic. He wants to flee from the young males and grown men, and will belittle, mock and be misogynistic to the grown women that call out his behavior, yet will creep upon the younger and more vulnerable females. He preys upon the young females because they are easier to manipulate than a grown woman of his age. He seems to be scared of boys and men and intimidated by grown women. He's an all-around sissy. Another alarming tactic that Paul seems to use to pull in a younger audience is using a children's TV presenter-type personality. This is something I have seen other people discuss and I have to agree. Paul will ask questions that are aimed to younger people, and carry the same air of a bouncy personality that some kid presenters use. On one hand, this is showing how fake he is. Most people will talk and act slightly differently when in front of an online audience, kind of like how some people have a telephone voice and then their regular voice. But to go to the extreme that he does, along with the questions that he asks, is very strange. People have asked why he uses a fake voice when on live streams, showing further that he puts on a lot of masks, and the viewers take notice. this. On the other hand, it sets off a menacing vibe, as he is not a professional show host for kids. He is a middle-aged man who is constantly accused of predatory behavior. Here are some examples of this strange conduct.
The internet has also become increasingly concerned that he's making content aimed towards children by mentioning superheroes and Disney characters.
Hello, you amazing humans. Wow. Hello. It is day 5 of question of the day at 9:35 PM exactly. I hope you had a fantastic day. I certainly have. The question today is, if you could have a superpower, what would that superpower be? And also, can you type your superhero name backwards? Go for it.
From the video, you can tell he talks in the tone of a kids' TV presenter. I'm not sure if we've seen that story arc before. He's also asking for engagement and participation in the comment section. His fans have argued that he's just having fun in the videos, but as a genuine question, what adult is running to the comment section to comment what their superhero name backwards would be?
Good evening. Welcome to your second question night. It's 9:35. Tonight's question is, what is your favourite smell? And you can also put your least favourite smell. But let's be original. If you're going to do it, put the emoji. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And you definitely know what I'm talking about. So yeah, your favourite smell and your least favourite smell. I hope you've had a fantastic day. Speak to you soon. Hi. Hello, you amazing humans. Wow. Hello. It is day 5 of question of the day at 9:35 PM exactly. I hope you had a fantastic day. I certainly have. The question today is, if you could have a superpower, what would that superpower be? And also, can you type your superhero name backwards? Go for it. Give me a colour that doesn't have E in it. Buongiorno, my name is Paul. I'm not wearing a bow tie and I'm naked when I don't wear clothes. It's fucking madness.
Finally, let's circle back to how a narcissist will often cry victim. Sometimes they have a lot of emotion about themselves, but rarely do their emotions empathize with anyone else. They're usually crying, either physically or vocally, because it gets them attention, manipulate a situation. Narcissistic supply in the form of sympathy, or your benefit of the doubt, or you doing things for them out of pity. At the end of the day, narcissists are very arrogant. They have a grandiose sense of self and very often can't look beyond themselves. But this form of self-esteem is not authentic. So, feeling self-pity and playing the victim acts as a substitute for that lack of authentic self-worth. Essentially, being the victim makes them the mistreated and misunderstood hero in a story that's all about them. It plays on the narrative that their needs are the most important because they've previously not been met, or they've been wronged somehow in the past. In a way, they believe their own role, because it contributes to their belief that they deserve to be given the most attention and respect. Another card that a narcissist will often pull is claiming they are having suicidal thoughts. For example, you may try to end a relationship with a narc, and they will threaten to take their own life. This is a means to manipulate you into staying. In this case, Paul began throwing a pity party, in which seemed to be a way to get people off of his back, so that he could brush the accusations under the carpet. I am not saying if Paul was, or was not feeling so low that his life was in danger, but I would like to point out that narcissists are commonly known to use this as a weapon to manipulate and exploit their intended target.
YouTuber I Am Alex, who's made videos about Paul recently, received a DM from Paul months ago stating, "Hi sir, you don't know me, but one day I hope you and a group of other blue ticks could make a stand against toxic vile nature that TikTok has become. I've tried to stand up and make a difference, but have been attacked far too much now, and my account isn't big enough to make a difference. I hope you lot can make this app safe again, for people to post and be happy." I honestly don't know what he thought could be achieved through this. On the 10th of September 2022, World Suicide Prevention Day, Paul posted a TikTok.
Today was supposed to be National Suicide Prevention Day. From personal experience, just talk to people. Talk. If you're ever having thoughts, ever having doubts, ever having low moods, depression, confidence issues, just that overwhelm you, just please talk. From personal experience, there's not a week goes by in the last year and a half that I haven't contemplated my existence and planet and shit. So, just please just talk. Find someone, whoever it may be, professional, a friend, family member, fucking stranger. Just please, always talk. Somebody will be there for you.
On the same day, he posted a story to Instagram with the caption that read, "I don't get compliments, I get insults. I don't get peace, I get hatred. I don't get a day off from negativity, but yet I try to smile. I try to keep myself alive, and sometimes that's a struggle. All I want is happiness and simplicity. Be there for each other." A post in the Paul Breach Snark subreddit stated, "He's not suicidal. At best, he's fantasized about it, but only in a narcissistic way. The trolls would get so much shit for it, or everyone would be so sad. And at the very least, the suicidal post is his way to keep the trolls at bay." Underneath this post, someone stated, "It's emotional manipulation at its finest. If he truly feels like that, then come off TikTok for fuck's sake. This man is a giant imbecile." The internet reacted to this post by claiming that he was trying to make National Suicidal Prevention Day about him. People have claimed it's in line with his narcissistic traits he has shown since joining TikTok. Examples of narcissism can be seen from his lives.
Narcissists can wear many masks. Here's a list of some telltale traits of a narcissist, courtesy of Karen Sanders, a psychologist in New York. Self-concern, self-centeredness, and self-consciousness that is disproportionate. Extreme sensitivity to negative feedback or criticism. Significant need for approval from others due to inadequacies that are real or imagined. Poor self-esteem often expressed through self-deprivation or arrogance. Difficulties within most relationships. Intolerance for imperfections in others. Often idealize others that represent perfection, followed by devaluing that very person when they are perceived to have failed them. Preoccupation with outward appearance, beauty, wealth, fame, success over morals, virtue, or even integrity. Poor emotional regulation, aggressive impulses, psychologically fragile. Vain, self-righteous, and prideful. Lack remorse, compassion, and empathy for others. Some of the traits that I see most clearly with Paul is lack of responsibility, lack of respecting boundaries, manipulation, projection, poor emotional regulation, overly defensive, passive-aggressive, entitlement, superiority, grandiosity, a fragile ego, repressed insecurities, vain, righteous indignation, immaturity, arrogance, lack of integrity, low self-esteem and confidence. Sensitive to negative feedback, perceiving everything as a threat, identity disturbance, age regression, dysfunctional behavior, fake persona, preoccupied by fantasy, denial, minimization, toxic amnesia, deflection, blaming the victim, playing the victim, guilt tripping, empty threats, false threats to his own life, self-centered, desperate need for approval, admiration and attention. Inability to form healthy relationships, dependency on others, delusional, delusions of his own reality, such as his own self-perceived importance, wealth and fame. Lack of compassion, lack of understanding on reality and how life works in general, lack of taking accountability, deep-seated fear, short-tempered, loves the sound of his own voice, self-obsessive, mocking, belittling, misogyny, compulsive lying, gaslighting, wears many masks, lazy, predatory behavior, and finally, low empathy. And I probably still missed out some traits that can show themselves within narcissistic personality disorder that I can see inside of Paul. This is not a diagnosis, this is only my opinion as an outside viewer looking in. There are more clips out there to analyze, so if you want to see more, then I suggest checking out some of the TikTokers that were mentioned on today's video. There are also well put together YouTube videos on this topic if you do not have a TikTok account. Please form your own opinion, as much said here are only accusations and alleged slices of information. Unfortunately, I assume that there will probably be more negative updates in the future, so keep a lookout and try to share information to protect those who are vulnerable. If you have a narcissist in your life, or know someone that shows signs of predatory behavior, then do all that you can to protect yourself and others. Word of mouth can be a powerful tool when it comes to such situations when an individual skims above the surface of legal activity. Thanks for watching our channel. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more. Until next time, stay safe.